Now we're recording. So we're taking notes. We're taking PC notes. Why? Because it's still kind of fresh in my mind who does what. And it was requested. So let's start with Cersei. So this is going to be, we tabbed indent. This is going to be Cersei Validas? Validas? Elite ass? Elite ass? So Cersei. I'm assuming uses she, her. Should have gone over pronouns, but got a little rushed at the end. Reserved, slim, reserved dash slim fitted high-waisted skirt and fitted jacket, so that's your look. Female. Okay, so her look is female, reserved, and a slim fitted high-waisted skirt and fitted jacket. I'm curious what reserved means to her exactly. The beauty of a lot of these concepts is kind of an ambiguity. Can I pop this out? Let's just copy that image, because I don't want to drag Discord over to my active window. Why'd you copy this into the doc? Yeah, I think I'm gonna crop this a little bit more, because this isn't cropped enough for me. So this is... God, Hero Forge gets so much fucking... so much use out of tabletop role-playing game groups. Oh no, sorry, you want us to actually buy minis? No. Yeah, if this goes on long enough, I definitely want to commission pictures. So reserved, I guess, in that it's not overly flashy. Sure, okay. Well, before Cersei, put an image of her. Let's center align all this. Wham. Beautiful. Minimize this shit. So, Cersei Validas. Gotta ask about the pronunciation of that. Cancel, minimize. She's Tycherosi, hence the whole foxy or foxtail thing going on. Tycherosi folks are strange, kind of almost alien. They're people who have some sort of demonic or seemingly demonic traits. I really like this character's Evie. This character's player is Evie. I like using a fox for that because a lot of the time when you say demon, people don't jump to fox because we're well, Westerners don't jump to fox, but there's some interesting fox spirits and ghosts and demons, and yeah, there's some very cool stuff there. I like that the fox eyes, ears, and tail are listed under heritage and not look, because that was part of generating this character's heritage, not the character's look, but definitely informs the look. So you're from Tycheros, so you're Tycherosi, fox eyes, ears, tail, family of librarians. Tycherosi librarians. It's interesting. Background is academic. Thank God I'm doing this day up because you didn't finish this. Academic students. Academic student. So Cersei is a student at the university here. Studying the weird and unnatural, I think, is probably her jam. You know, we talked about it. It's been a few hours. Cool. Then Vice. Vice is weird / auto-erotic possession. So before we did Vice and everything, we picked out friends, and Evie picked out Nyrix, a possessor ghost, as a strange friend, and Flint, a spirit trafficker, as a rival, let's say. And had this really interesting idea of trying to combine, like, pleasure and weird in a relieving stress by getting possessed by familiar ghosts and spirits. Now, I'm pretty sure there are mechanics for being possessed showing that it's, like, really bad for you. But it's such a weird idea that I want to run with it. Like, I never would have fucking thought of that. So, and generally, I tend to play by the kind of mindset that good tabletop role-playing and good storytelling is iterative and improvisational. So yes and no but statements are what I'm more interested in. So let's go for this. So, you know, we have a minute now. Let's look at possession. Let's look at possession, because I'm not... I don't give a shit. I'm doing this for me. Possession. Possession. Positions. Possession. 210. Oh, well, that actually ended up on 210. The Unquiet Dead. Possessed. A living body containing 2 or more spirits. Rogue spirits is... interesting. So possessed is defined here. So it's 2 or more spirits in a body. Does it? A living body with its own spirit, soul, a normal state of affairs. Yeah. Devils, the Unquiet Dead, bells, crows, and wardens. Whispers, hulls. A hull is a captured spirit reanimate a Sparkcraft frame. Yeah. Vampires are... when possessed spirit bonds with a living body, it becomes a vampire. It can happen if a ghost possesses a victim for too long, thereby destroying its original spirit, or when a hollow is specially prepared. So, she's risking vampirism if shit goes awry. Like, I would say... okay, interesting. You may attune to the ghost field in order to take control of a living body. When your control is challenged, you must reattune or leave the body. Control is challenged when... you consume the spirit energy from the host. Arcane powers act against you. Host wills driven to desperation may easily and indefinitely possess a hull or hollow has been ritualistically prepared. It's interesting that this assumes that it's not consensual. It's very consensual in the context that we're talking about. Okay, so I think, like, potentially if they overindulge, we can start walking them towards vampirism as a consequence. Because, yeah, that's an interesting possibility. Let's look at overindulging, right? And look at what we should be comparing this with in trying to get a threshold for the weird shit we have going on. Okay, overindulging. If your vice roll rolls more than da-da-da-da, you can attract trouble, gain heat, vanish for a few weeks, or become tapped and your purveyor cuts you off. So I immediately was thinking about tapped here. This character, Circe, is able to get this vice through Nyryx because of a very special relationship that they have. If Circe were to overindulge to a certain point, and we were to go with tapped on overindulgence, that relationship could be harmed or severed entirely, putting Circe in a really vulnerable position where she has to seek out being possessed by a less or unfamiliar spirit, which just seems risky to me. Like, that's taking on a lot of risk. Like, that seems desperate to me. So, man, this does not sound stress relieving, but I want to roll with it. It's such an interesting idea. Lost makes a lot of sense. Maybe Nyryx's spirit takes over for the most part, and they just get carried away and disappear for a little while. Brag? Kind of hard to brag about. Well, you know, brag about your exploits, so talk about the job. The idea of this Nyryx spirit is that it just occasionally possesses people, but never one person for very long. Kind of hops around, like, sort of like a spirit of inspiration or muse, or, you know, it isn't malicious, I think, but maybe it is, and it's a front that it's not malicious, but maybe that's kind of perverting the intention created by the character. I don't know. We'll really have to play that out. I have no idea how to roleplay as this spirit, which is a really interesting opportunity, or the relationship between the two. I don't know if Nyryx is gendered. I think EV drop she's referring to Nyryx, but I don't remember. So there's a lot to dig in and play with here. A lot. Attract trouble? Yeah, dude, you can get all sorts of fucking trouble here. Like slowly becoming a vampire, losing control of your own body, the diminishment of your soul. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot here. But Circe, I'm gonna get rid of the image in here. It's a nice touch, but it's gonna make this document too big. I want everybody to take up a page maximum, and that's gonna fill this up too much. So, playbook. She's a whisper. 2 in study, 1 in survey, 2 in attune, 1 in sway, 1 in consort. Nothing in prowess. Interesting. So no finesse, no prowl, no skirmish, no wreck. Studying and attuning. Well, attuning, you need that. Study, makes sense. Survey? Yeah, makes sense. Consort and sway. Got a lot of good talking people in this party. Bold player. Bold pronouns. Pronounces. Nope, pronouns. Look, heritage, background, vice, playbook. Okay. Yeah. So she has ghost mind, making her always aware of supernatural entities in her presence, letting her better gather information about the supernatural. Yeah, there's a fascination here, and I like that it's not just an academic interest. It's a, I don't know, like sexual interest. I mean, pretty blatantly sexual interest at the same time. That was a twist I did not see coming. Reminds me of oh god, that Star Trek episode where somebody fucks a ghost. Somebody's mother? fuck's a ghost? Am I remembering that right? It's a bad episode and I skip it, and I feel like it's weirder and more problematic than I'm remembering, but... Why not? Why not get off on being possessed by a ghost? God, I'm so interested in talking more about this. Like, what about it is stress relieving? Is it relieving to not be in control of your own body? Is it relieving in like a narcissistic kind of way to like get off on seeing your body from like a slightly removed vantage point? Like, does that distance or disconnect play into it? Is it like an extreme form of bondage? Like, I mean, it is an extreme form of bondage, right? It's yeah. So right from the get-go, this was the first character. I was doing, going in circles, starting one thing at a time. Okay, what are you picking? You're doing Whisper, okay, and you, and you, and you, and you, and talking them through, and it was a really good time. Didn't record it. Probably should have for posterity, but nope. Yeah. This has legs. This has a lot to go forward. And then Eric. All right. Oh god, what's the cliche Baldur's Gate 3 default character? The developers of Baldur's Gate 3 picked all the most chosen options, and it just came out to be like the most boring looking white guy human. And it's pretty close. Not to dunk. This is Eric Pritchard. The player for this is Ryan. Right? No. This is a dockhand. This is John. Well, good thing I'm doing this. John. Pronouns. He dropped he, hims. So he, him, look, rough, hunched, and weathered. I didn't hear the hunched before. That's imagining just a little bit of this going on. God, that sounds incredibly uncomfortable. Work trousers and a heavy coat. Makes sense. Very fitting for... this character is Akarosi, more specifically than Akarosi. They're, God, what do you even call someone from? Duskwallen? Duskish? Yeah. Volish? Born and raised in the docks. Raised to, you know, fourth generation dockhand. Oh, God, it's the small things. Adding in fourth generation there is very nice. Also worth noting, Eric Pritchard's alias is Slip. Lewd. Look, is that heritage? Is Akarosi. Fourth generation dockhand. Background. It's also academic, which you might be like, that's a little weird. Dockhand. That's labor, right? But Eric, or Eric, is trying to break out of the family tradition and is studying ship design and nautical design in the university, or at least in Charterfall. I think the explanation is that he's studying in Charterfall, but he hasn't quite made it into university yet, hasn't made the right social connections, so he's like taking a night school or something. First in family to attend school, aspires for naval design studies. Let's note for Circe studying the unnatural. Background, okay, vice and purveyor. So gambling. Gambling is, God, maybe the only shared vice, I think. So Eric and Wexilium, which is a ripoff, but it's a weird enough name. Wexilium? I guess it's Wexilium. They both kind of consider life to be one big gamble, which, you know, in a tabletop role-playing game it is. So they delight in small gambles, but they also delight in big gambles and taking big risks. And I really like the inclination towards risk and trouble and putting oneself in harm's way that this leads those two characters toward, a tendency toward that. So that's got a lot of potential. And they met at the Silver Stag Casino, Silkshore. Which we haven't really placed. I recall Silkshore is just kind of described as an off-the-strip casino in Vegas. Not overly themed, not super run down, just kind of middle of the road, right? You go in, there's tables for cards, tables for this and that, but it's not trying too hard. It's for people who are already in too deep, let's say. And your playbook is the work. You know, sneaky fuck. Again, study, finesse, prowl, very, very focused here. 3 2s. And 1 in Tinker. None in Resolve. Yeah, Petra. God bless him. He wrote this. I might as well read that when we're done, because he bothered to write it. Might as well read it aloud. We got a city clerk here as the friend. Petra, the city clerk, was the person that helped them get into this night school, I think, and Darmot, or Dartmouth, this blue coat, has kept their eye on poor Eric, who looks a little too poor to be running around in the, near the school over in Charter Hall. And Eric may or may not be picking pockets to help pay tuition, so Dartmouth is keeping an eye on them, and might have a small vendetta. Eric is a shadow, letting them potentially resist detection or security measures, or push themselves for exceptional feats of athletics and stealth. A very, very sneaky boy. As a working dockhand, rubbed enough elbows with ship captains and the like to earn a recommendation to Charter Hall University to study shipbuilding, with the eventual goal of making it into Dustfall University to specialize. He's only just been given a recommendation, not a sponsorship, so the tuition is on him, hence his motivation. He pickpockets and steals as much as needed to keep himself afloat. He's seen the results of great success and failure from Leviathan hunts and attribute the results to luck. And I did ask, luck, at least for these two, is not personified as a forgotten god. They will refer to Lady Luck, but just kind of in the apocryphal way that you or I might, not in a reverential kind of way, though that may change. Luck fascinates him, and the opportunity to improve it drives them. Gambling to him is one of the purest forms, and he's constantly drawn to it. So probability and luck, and yeah, that's a really interesting way to look at it, rather than I just love. It's not even the adrenaline rush; it's the cerebral appeal of gambling, and almost philosophical appeal of gambling that we're going for here. So I think we might have some like really heady intellectual philosophical stuff going on with work, which is gonna be very cool and kind of a stark contrast to what we have going on with a lot of the other characters. I mean, Circe's got you know, a lot of potential for that, but also Cersei has got, for me anyway, the first thing I gravitate towards is like, so you're kind of fucking a ghost, huh? Like, let's dig into that. I have a lot of questions. Let's tease that apart. You know, the whole studying ghost things, that's interesting, and that would probably be the most interesting thing I'd focus on, but just went and took that to 11, so yeah, alright, let's dig into that. Now we have Anaru Kai. Andy. What a great nom de guerre. I guess it's not nom de guerre. Name of crime. It's a great affectation. This is Ryan's character. Yep. Pronouns. I'm assuming are he, him. Because he has used he, him to describe the character. The look. John, you didn't put male or masculine in here, did you? You put man. Sure. I mean, it's masculine and feminine, so both of you put the wrong word, but you'll be forgiven this time. Look. Masculine. And I wrote female for Cersei. Nope. Feminine. Okay, I need to check the rules. Is it male, female, or is it... I have a feeling it's masculine, feminine. But I honestly don't remember, so I shouldn't be correcting them if I'm the one that's in error here. Pick a background, pick a vice... Looks... No, it is woman. Okay. Whoa, man. Whoa, man. Pronouns... Man. No, not pronouns. Alex, what are you doing? Look, man. Look, man. Okay, you are athletic. Just athletic. Alright, you know, can work with it. Has a feathered hat, a long coat, wide belt, and a scruffy beard. Naru is from the Dagger Isles. Comes from a family of traveling merchants, ship-bound traveling merchants, not caravan-bound, though might be in a caravan of ships. The family's kind of reluctant attitude towards technology. They haven't upgraded or updated these old sailing ships with newfangled engines driven by coal or plasmatic blood. No, they still use the winds. Trade kind of... God, I forget what exactly we settled on trade. It doesn't need to be more specific right now, but let's tease that apart. Background. Nope. Should have written heritage. Heritage. Dagger Isles. Don't know pronoun for Dagger Isles. Dagger Icelandish. Traveling merchant family. Reluctant towards new technology. Travaling. God, I can't spell. I've been awake too long today. No, I've been thinking too much today. Brains all worn out. So background, trade, comma. God, it's been so long. So he... Right. He's been running scams. He's been doing fake, ghost hunts. He's been working with his friend Casta to con denizens all over, but mostly in 6 towers, that they can drive away ghosts and hauntings using complete bullshit. Like salt, or smudging, or like you know, the same things you'd see in ghost hunting TV shows. That's Anaru's whole jam, is just this complete grift of bullshit ghost hunting. Trade. Fake ghost hunting. Which is, you know, caused some enemies with Herr Steiner here, who's an assassin, and assassins are exposed to death and potential pissing off of ghosts, as you imagine, because he makes people into ghosts. Steiner went to Anaru, Anaru conned them, and Steiner then found out that Anaru was full of shit and doesn't take that lightly, given that might have put Steiner's life or reputation at risk, or both. And so for Weiss, for Anaru here, we have, oh yeah, it's weird. And specifically, it's a Deathlands plant. That is chewed like tobacco. It's like a bioluminescent beetle plant. God, is that what they're called? It's a bioluminescent thing, so it kind of dissolves in his mouth. He's not going around with a spittoon. We talked about, like, so are you carrying around a spittoon the whole time, or are you just gonna like spit at thematic moments? But no, he's not going all Western. So just, it's a chewed thing. Chewed gives feelings of strength, not real strength. It isn't actually making him stronger, but it makes him feel stronger. And then where does he get it? Purveyor is scavengers. All right, Deathland scavengers. Scavengers. You misspelled scavengers, but that's okay. Nobody cares, I think. And we talked about he gets from a smuggler. Scavenger smuggler. He buys from a smuggler. We haven't determined a name yet. We'll come up to that when it's downtime. I'll probably just roll up a name and say, hey, here's your guy. I was talking about, like, do you, like, go over to the fence and get packages that are, like, thrown through the wall or in gaps in the wall? But no, he goes to a dude that does that risky shit for him. For the playbook for Anaru, Anaru's a hound. Specifically, he's a survivor hound. From a hard-won experience or cult ritual, Anaru has become immune to the poisonous miasma of the Deathlands and is able to subsist on the strange flora and fauna there. Hence the vice of chewing Deathlands plants that are, we've agreed, poisonous to normal people. He's put 2 in hunt. Makes sense. 2 in prowl. Checks out. 1 in consort. 1 in sway. We got some talky people here. And 1 in survey. There's a lot of overlap in what they picked. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's really good for group actions if you have some shared ground. Otherwise, splitting up is a pretty good plan. And even when they're splitting up, they're quite specialized. We don't have any playbook overlaps, which was surprising. Because obviously that'd be very okay. But it not happening is very neat. Alright. Waxilium wagering. Their player is Corey. Their look. Corey didn't fill in. Man. Corey needs to fill in the rest of look. See page. See me after class, Corey. I joked about this. And you done goofed. Shame. Look incomplete. This is kind of the look he's going with, but I need words. I need words because words we can play with in the narrative that we're using. Saying that somebody is hunched or athletic, you know, those carry connotations about what kind of a person they are, how they carry themselves, what the room thinks when they walk into a room, how you might be sized up. If somebody's reserved, you know, an outsider might look at you and think that you're harboring a secret. If you're weathered, people might think to trust your words of advice bit more than if you're clean shaven and look clueless. So that's why this is important. I know you can insert a picture of something that seems to really fit the bill, and that's great, but specifically I want the look because there's narrative implications there. But as okay, Corey will get to that. I know Corey will get to that. Corey's in the middle of a move right now, and we did this pretty rushed, so Des all good. I want to double check. Naru, you didn't write any notes, right? Cersei, you didn't write any notes? Alright, good, I didn't skip anything. I think Wexilium here has, let's have to look. Heritage. Wexilium, oh, get out of there, is from, he's Akarosi. But he's from the Imperial Capital. Imperial Capital, lower nobility. Lower nobility from the Imperial Capital. Trained to be a diplomat, a talker, a business person, oh god. Forget the exact word that Corey used, but diplomat is pretty close. Noble diplomat in training. And he can correct me on that if I'm filling that in and it's wrong, but that's what I remember. Yeah, it's important because to make notes on this because we will forget this shit. It seems right now like we won't, but we will. Noble diplomat training. Vice. We talked about this already. Vice is still gambling. Just like Eric. Yep, just like Slip. Wexilium's street name is Dawnshot. I mean, there's not really any dawn. I mean, there is a dawn every day. There's a dawn and a dusk where the sun, or what's left of the sun, briefly lights up the horizons to a reddish hue. And you get a little bit of sunlight, but it's over in like a couple of hours. So that's, being named after that is interesting. Gambling. We haven't really talked about time, so we're gonna have to tease that apart and, have to internalize that, because if I say 2 a.m., you know, that's an understood concept, but in Blades, there is no 2 a.m. There's 1 through 12 o'clock, and then the hours for the next 12 hours have names like the Hour of Pearls, or the Hour of something like that, which is weird and very cool, and I'm into it. But I don't even remember it, so didn't really come up. Vice? Yep, playbook. Playbook. Slide. What kind of slide? Like looking into a mirror. You can always tell when someone's lying to you. Wexilium also knows a Nyryx, who's a friend and a prostitute. And it's kind of up in the air if this Nyryx is the same Nyryx, or is someone who is regularly possessed by the same Nyryx that we have with Cersei. I think there's really cool potential there. Like, really cool potential there if they know, like, 2 halves of the same person. Or same entity, anyway. Wexilium's whole thing coming to Duskwall is trying to be kind of a Robin Hood. Trying to right the wrongs and injustices of the world, take from the rich, give to the poor, and that's rubbed Batso Baz here the wrong way. I think Batso here we agreed his gang, whatever it is, tend to operate as union toughs. Not union toughs, but like strike breakers. Like, fuck. Help me out. Help me out. Did you write it? Did you write it down? You didn't write it. Pinkerton. They're sort of like discount Pinkerton agents. So that's who he's pissed off the most, because he's been working in Dunslow and in Coleridge. He's also not wanted by his family, but like sought out by his family. He's on the verge of being disinherited because of his going off the beaten path and potentially embarrassing the family. So Waxillum here likes to hang out in the shittier parts of town, or the shadier parts of town, to avoid the spotlight. But given that these folks operate and steal from the rich, he's running some risks there. And I really wonder how sustainable this will be. He's got Hunt, again, 2 Hunt, 2 in Sway, 1 in Consort. This is the first time we've seen Command, and I think maybe the first time we've seen Skirmish. So not fighters here. Waxillum is a slide, using diplomacy and words to get his way, whether it be truth, lies, or a combination of the two. Rather twist his enemies into stuttering than twist their arm. Though he's no slouch with a pistol, he's learned to manipulate people from the best of nobility and Akros, and aims to turn that ability back on them to create greater change. Parents are from the capital, lower nobility, raising them to be a diplomat, but the political life bores him, and he morally opposes most of it. I forgot to write pronouns here, didn't I? Yep. Corey, player, pronouns. Be he, him. Pronouns. A couple too many U's there, Alex. So, when he came of age, he left and has started using his skills to oppose the mobility. Parents are still around, often try to track him down to convince him to come back to the life he was born into, operating out of the Ironworks. Is there an Ironworks down here? Coalworks? Oh, Ironworks, yeah. Found himself enamored with the faction of the Lost. Yeah, the Lost are basically the canon underdogs fighting for the lowest of the low against, like, impossible odds down here in Dunslow and Coleridge. I think they're money and rep sync, basically. They're tier 1. They're not great allies to have, but, you know, any ally is better than none. So the Lost were kind of his foray into the underground and the underworld. Forced, yeah, the lowest of the low, forced into labor almost akin to slavery. These people are to their title. It's Wax's opinion, even the lowest can rise to greatness with good leadership. So here he intends to make his mark. If only you could find a decent crew to curve out the edges. Well, I'm not sure about a decent crew, but we seem to be putting the crew together. We'll have to see next week how exactly that happened, but yep. Next up is Bast, or Bastet as a full name. Katie did not finish filling this out, but that's okay. Let's put Bast for alias, look, female, it's woman. Woman, Katie needs to fill this out. See page 56. She described Bastet, but again, I wasn't recording it, and she didn't take notes. I get it. I have an image, right? I have a feeling more for Bastet. I really like the character. Bastet. Bast. Pronouns. Oh, right. Player. This is Catty. Luke? No. Pronouns. Alex. This is your own spreadsheet. You've done this enough times. Should be able to remember, dog. Nah. Pronouns. She, her. No they, thems, I think, in this group. Just him, hers, and him, hers. He, hims, she, hers. Listen. It's almost 1 in the morning, and I was up very late last night, too. Woman is look, comma, look incomplete. They'll get to it. Heritage. She's a Ruvian. Eruvian. I remember this. She's a Ruvian. Her family, parents were farmers, orphaned. Orphaned parents were farmers. The way we imagined it and talked about it was farmers, kind of like the old ancient Egyptian model where you were farmers during the flood season, and then in the dry season you picked up odd work as a laborer, probably like factory worker in this setting. So their industry is very weirdly lopsided. Like, part of the year you're growing crops, part of the year you're more productive industry, and the whole, not the whole nation, but a significant part of it goes back and forth and back and forth. And that's neat to me. That's very neat to me. Is it necessarily practical? No, but who gives a frick? It's cool. Background for you is Underworld. Specifically, she's like a madam. A madam, no, had to monitor the cleanliness. That's not what I want necessarily. Well, no, East Asian madam is pretty much what I had in mind. Some madams rose and become independently wealthy. She's a madam that essentially works or runs a halfway house for folks who are engaged in sex work but do not wish to remain engaged in sex work, to help transition them to another lifestyle, but also to protect folks who work as sex workers and wish to remain that way from being exploited or treated unfairly. So she's an advocate more than a madam. But I guess I'm gonna do madam / advocate, as I can't come up with a better word. Madam's so loaded when we're talking about this sort of thing, but I don't necessarily know what to put here as better. Oh fuck, I forget what vice she picked. Obligation. Oh, obligation. Yeah, no, now I remember. Yeah, okay. And vice is obligation. Her obligation is she needs to come up with a name for this halfway house. Name of halfway house. That's her obligation, is her feeling of responsibility and connection to her community, particularly this community of sex workers, and protecting them, advocating for them, being a friend and ally to them. She first got started in Duskwall in sex work, worked for Milo, a pimp. Sure, let's hope it was a healthy relationship, because I don't really want to describe kind of a deplorable person, but, you know, we might. Someone who offers protection at a cost. You know, there's some iffiness there, but this is the way she wanted to go, and I don't like saying no, and I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. So, obligation, name of halfway house, name of halfway house of Bast's halfway house. What's really interesting is Bast has a vested interest in not getting heat on her, because any heat she gets comes back to affect her place of business and the people she's trying to protect over here in Silkshore, particularly probably up here in the Ease. And she really does not want that. So she has a real vested interest in keeping heat low, or at least not on her. Because protecting her folks, her guys and gals, is very important to her. Her rival, Riven, a chemist, is kind of a bad chemist. Riven mixes up substandard drugs and goods and sells them to the working folk in Silkshore because Riven thinks that they can get away with exploiting these working people. Bast has, let's say, different ideas on the matter. Bast's playbook is the Spider, and I really think he really nailed it for Spider here in a lot of ways. A little bit of study, a little bit of survey. She can wreck, which we haven't seen a lot in prowess, so anything in prowess is pretty noteworthy here. 1 in command, 1 in sway, 2 in consort. So this is pretty well spread character. There's a lot of spread going on here, but I like it. There's a lot of room for growth. She has ghost contract. When Bast shakes on a deal, she and her partner, human or otherwise, both bear a mark of the oath. If either breaks the contract, they take level 3 harm, cursed. So Bast doesn't necessarily need to be the one making handshakes. But when she does, you better come correct. And we talked about this mark. I think that she can decide when she's doing the deal where the mark appears. And it's okay if it changes every time. I think it's kind of cool if it changes every time. But maybe she'll find a consistent theme or imagery that she likes, and we'll stick with that. But for the time being, it's kind of intentionally ambiguous. Lastly is Coquette. Oh, Coquette has a last name. Sweet. Coquette and Kayette. This player is Malice. Look. Mal didn't fill this in. See page 56. We talked about it. Thank God I'm doing this now because I would not remember. Pronouns. Mal is playing she, her. For Coquette. Look. God, I think Mal shared an image that's supposed to be Coquette in Discord. But again, I want the specific words for the aforementioned reasons of the words give us context to play with. Yeah, she's got a pretty rad-looking character, if I do say so myself, going on here. Again, Hero Forge. Let's see, how do we want to summarize this look? Well, okay. Woman. Right, good start. Look incomplete. God, what the fuck is my haircut called? What do you do with a partial shave? You know what? Partially shaved head. My brain isn't up for it. That's fine. Insert more clothes description. Because I'm sure this isn't a one-to-one where for what Mal wants. It's probably pretty close, but yeah, I'll let her put words there that I do not have. Heritage. Her heritage is she is also a Ruvian. She also comes from farmer folk. Do I do this name of country? Yeah, okay, then indent, yeah. Akarosi, space, Eruvian, new line, capitalize that because it's the first one on a new line. You are Eruvian. Farmers stripped of ancestral nobility. Farmers, comma, allegedly stripped of ancestral nobility. So Kaket is here in Duskwall seeking artifacts and records that have been plundered in the way that so many colonialist nations do from Eruvia in the University Quarter, or possibly owned by, I'm thinking the Circle of Fire, someone in there, someone in one of these collectors, maybe a noble has, you know, these stolen records of the old nobility of Eruvia, or I don't know, something like that to prove or disprove this concretely. So Kaket's up here hunting after their family heritage to try and prove or disprove it definitively. Background. I'm like spacing out. What's next? Background. Trade. Appraisal of artifacts, but also selling, crafting, selling fraudulent artifacts. I think that's a great turnaround on, you know, these colonialist bastards came to your land and through some means or another took parts of your heritage away. And you respond by going to their homeland, acting subservient, acting like you're helping them to understand it. We drew some comparisons to noted paleontologist Mary Anning, in that Kaket is probably doing a lot of the work that some of these self-professed archaeologists are claiming credit for. That these breakthroughs or insights are actually hers, and there's just like old white men taking credit for it and paying her under the table to stay quiet. So she's kind of getting back at them at the same time by selling them fake shit. And I like this notion of like slowly replacing all the genuine artifacts they have with imitation fakes and taking all the real stuff back home and repatriatizing it. It's a very neat idea. Vice for Kaket. His pleasure, sex. Very straightforward. Where do you go for sex? Val in the Silkshore. Val in... Wait, pleasure/sex, comma, Val Silkshore. Val is the name of a sex worker that they have a fascination and fixation on. Mal's exact words, I think, were "can't say no to." And I kind of want to... I'll check in. Maybe we can have Val work, or at least know Bast for some sort of connection there. Maybe not live in Bast's half house, but maybe. I mean, there's a lot going on in Silkshore, right? We have the casino, we have all the sex work stuff going on over here. So there's a lot of interest and attraction towards this area, which is great. I was worried, a little worried, the red light district wouldn't be getting the horny attention it's getting, but it's great. You know, we got a little bit going on in the docks, which is lovely. I love a good nautical theme, especially with the horrors hiding in the deep. The cliche Crowsfoot neighborhood, where like all the gang violence is going on, is like completely avoided. Which is hilarious, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is like the Blades in the Dark district, and I'm like, nah. We got a lot of fucking book learning nerd shit going on in the University Quarter. Kaket lives in Six Towers, and so she's near the University Quarter, but she can't quite afford to live over here. She's living in a rundown building over here that's abandoned and thought haunted. Yeah, so we got a couple folks in Six Towers, got a few associated with the University Quarter. We've got quite a few associated in some capacity with Silkshore. There's fucking Wax, who is trying to, and I love this, trying to help the downtrodden worker unionize and fight back against their oppressors in Brightzone and the night market over here. I think Wax is gonna have to fall in line a little bit. I really don't think these other characters are probably gonna be gung-ho to get on board with class war, at least not out of the gate, and that's super interesting. What our first session is really a big part of it's gonna be is figuring out how the fuck the game fits together through roleplay primarily, and we hopefully will have time to set them up with the first God damn it, I really gotta internalize this. What is it called, John? What is it called? What are they called? The jobs. What are the jobs called? Scores. The scores. I can never remember the word score. We need to set them up on a first score as well. So yeah, that's gonna be very interesting to tease apart. We have about 4-hour blocks to play with, so I don't think it's impossible, but there's a lot to tease apart here. Coquette, a study, again, has Tinker, again, but better. Survey, again. Wreck. So we got a couple of wreckers. I think we have one with Skirmish or Finesse. We got one with Prowl. I know that at least everyone, at least someone has a point in everything. And with this many characters, you would expect so, right? But not a lot of sway, not a lot of prowess. Very insightful, though. Just great. Stasia is an apothecary and friend. A roommate, specifically. Kind of a grandmotherly figure. Like a stand-in for Coquette's own grandmother that filled Coquette's head with all these stories about their family being old nobility. Maybe true, maybe not. So Stasia is kind of a stand-in for that grandmotherly figure. Grandmaternal figure, whatever. So that relationship's very interesting. Veldrin and Jewel are siblings, maybe twins, that use psychotropics to incapacitate people and steal their blood. Such a cool idea. Specifically, they're after Coquette because in Coquette's research and trying to find out more about her potential nobility, these two have caught wind, thinking that she has royal blood, and Eruvia being far away and kind of mystified, they think that this blood is magical. You know, it may be, but they're trying to hunt her down and literally bleed her for cash. It was her idea. I would never put that on a character or a player. That's a lot more predatory and laser focused than I would go, but that's what we got for Coquette. So like I said, there's some interesting stuff I want to reflect on this. The horniest, the most sexualized themes are coming from the women at our table, which is really refreshing. So often, especially when I was younger, when sexualized themes would come up in role-playing games, it was almost always guys being like, roll for dick size, or like, Can I roll roll 20 to see how long we bang of picking up barmaids and getting a room upstairs? And, you know, this very masculine power fantasy. Again, there's nothing wrong with that so long as it's tempered with realism, romance, sensitivity, tenderness, which of course it wasn't at the time. So it's like really, really refreshing to have the mic piece for that be entirely feminine in this party, which, you know, of course it's one of my games. This is an Alex game to the T. No, don't make it horny, Alex. Don't make it horny. Something femdom, something carrying on. And the boys are just like, I like gambling. I like gambling too. I like drugs. It's just they're kind of like the sweethearts of the group. Like they're not naive, but they all are. They're kind of thieves with hearts of gold, right? Cersei has some very kinky shit going on, but we haven't talked about the emotional aspect. Like if there's actually a kind of romantic engagement with this spirit, with can't remember the name of the character, Nyryx, or if it's just like purely physical and visceral and euphoria, or if there's some romance to it. Yeah, Cersei kind of seems out for herself, which I dig. I'm really curious to dig into, like, why the fuck did she get mixed up in all this? But that's kind of neat. No, you know what? I said Waxillum doesn't really have a good inroads, to Silkshore, but he does. Waxillum not only has the Silver Stag casino that he frequents, but also this Nyryx prostitute, who I think is an aspect of the other Nyryx, is probably from here, probably also in the halfway house. I'm really trying to consolidate all these connections to kind of pseudo factions in their own right to make it easier for me, because this is designed for 2 to 5 players. I have 6 at least, and I have a 7th who we're gonna go through character creation with, and basically on a given week I'll play with whoever is available. If 2 or more people want to get together for a side job or a side score or a side session, we're doing it, because fuck, I'm unemployed, might as well be as accessible as possible and create a living, breathing sandbox here. So I'm really excited about it, but it does mean I'm trying to consolidate a lot of these things so that it's easier to have them on screen, easier to have them interactable with. And so I might be creating a couple of factions to represent some of these characters and ideas that have come to light today. Yeah, they're headquartered underneath the University Quarter, in catacombs underneath the University Quarter. Actually, that's a great segue. Let's talk about the working name is the Clacky Kraken Crew, which I hate. Fucking hate it, but hey, it's their crew. They're layers of walled off tunnel in a sewer network underneath the University Quarter. So it's hidden. They have quarters down there, so if they need to go to ground, they probably have like cots or beds. We'll expand on if they have like full-blown rooms, or they just have like room dividers down there. They have a workshop down there so that they can work on their poisons or their inventions, because 2 or 3 of them have tinker, so they'll be doing that. And training prowess. Hilariously, most of them need training and prowess, so it's the one that I think the least people has been least invested in by people, which is hilarious. Yeah. You have 1 coin because they've spent 1 coin to mitigate their bad relationships. Special ability they picked up Synchronized, so that when they perform a group action, they may count multiple 6s from different rolls as a critical success. This seems incredibly good. Group actions are going to be tricky. We're going to have to make sure they understand the mechanics of that. And I said before the first... I forgot the fucking word again. Score. The score. I cannot internalize it. Before the first score, if they're feeling like they want to maybe second guess some stuff, totally okay to do that. But after the first score, we're probably going to start setting stuff in stone. Their contact is Adelaide Freig? Whatever. A noble in the Circle of Fire. She, I think, lives up in Brightstone. It might be a professor at the university. She frequents both of them, so she's made connections to most of these characters individually. Now, a lot of these characters individually in dealings with the university or in dealings with artifacts. I think I might want to play Adelaide, and this is something I need to think about in the next week. What kind of a person Adelaide is, what she wants, what she's willing to do to get it. I think she might be using this crew selfishly. The crew is trying to do the whole steal from the rich, give to the poor kind of vibe, which is admirable. We'll see how long it takes to pervert and taint that. I love the idea of them starting out with good intentions and maybe inevitably, due to the complications, that going awry and becoming more complicated. Or maybe not. John Harper described there being a narrow path, narrow corridor for playing undeniably good characters or crews in this game, and I think this group is going to start out trying to walk that line. I'm going to make it a tightrope walk. I'm not going to push them off of it, but I'm going to give them opportunities to fall and opportunities to climb back. But I want them to pursue whatever is interesting and feels right. So we're gonna give them plenty of opportunities. So Adelaide, I need to figure her out. I think she's selfish. I think she's using the crew to ruin the reputation of other nobles or just embarrass them more than like ruin them entirely. Just like, oh my, that new painting of yours is stolen? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, well, I guess my collection is still the best. Using these do-gooders to elevate and empower herself. So I like that because it's complicated. They're accomplishing their goal, but also in doing so, they're facilitating kind of the thing they hate. Adelaide is... Yeah. Now we're going to look at the factions sheet. Skirlock is a stand-in. I might fuck with this. The city council, they're one with. They the way, because it's in Charter Hall and the city council's headquartered in Charter Hall, I basically gave them the choice. Listen, you can piss off City Hall or you can piss off the Circle of Flame, and the other one will like you based on who you went through to set stuff up and who you violated intentionally or otherwise in setting up here. And they decided they didn't want to piss off the tier 5 city council faction reasonably, so they started out as a 1. So somehow they own the deed to the secret layer that they have. It's legally binding. I don't know exactly how one goes and purchases a segment of a civic sewer system, but they did it. And get the rights to wall it off and build a compound, but they've done it. How? I don't know. It's cool and weird and sure, why not? So they're great with the city council. It's like, these might be, scoundrels, but they got the permits for it. The Circle of Flame started out at a -1, but they bought it back up to a 0. Circle of Flame probably used to use that tunnel for smuggling or clandestine meetings, and has been inconvenienced. Is a little miffed about that, but they you know, put some coin into the right hands and made, paid for the inconvenience that it's causing the Circle of Flame. The reason why it was so important for people to make nice with the Circle of Flame is the number of people who work or whose background involves the university or engagement with the university. Yeah, I guess Eric's kind of an odd duck out too, in that he just dicks around Six Towers, does a lot of drugs, and we'll find a way to make him fit. I forgot about, not Eric, sorry, Anaru, Andy doing all these drugs over here in Ghost Town. This fake ghost hunting crew. I love it. Just Phasmophobia anytime he does downtime. Just go play around with Phasmophobia, let me know how it goes, and we'll go based off of that. The Circle of Flame, the students, their professors are certainly part of the secret society. So keeping in good relationship with them is professionally and academically important to them. For Coquette, these are probably some of the people she does business with, and even though she's fucking them over, or, playing both sides against the middle, if you will, her being the middle, or wait, that doesn't work. Playing both sides against each other for the middle's benefit, which isn't how the expression goes. You get where I'm going with this. It's important enough just to keep at least an okay relationship with them. And they had to piss someone off, so I'm like, okay, placeholder is just going to be Lord Scurlock. Why? Because he's just like the generic, ancient, potentially immortal vampire, ominous character that we can do here. I think I'm going to give that some more thought and potentially assign it to something else. Now, this is supposed to be part of a conversation, right? And I don't want to take away from that. So before any of this is set in stone, this is going to be next week, I'm going to be like, hey, so I wanted to assign this to this, actually. How do you feel about this? I think this is more appropriate. Actually, wait, do I even do that? Or, God, I don't remember how to make a crew. How do I shot crew? Okay, 91 is the crew. The crew. Take a look at potential contacts. Choose one contact who's a close friend, longtime ally, or partner in crime. For that, GM will tell you about 2 factions that are impacted by your choice. Yeah. So we kind of amalgamated that by being, okay, there's a lot in the University Quarter. That makes sense for Circle of Flame. So you got a +1 to that? Is that how that +1 worked? Yeah. So the Circle of Flame was screwed over. So they were a -2. Paid 1 coin to turn that to a -1. Then used the favorite contact to raise that to a 0. So Circle of Flame is the favorite contact, even though they're just on neutral terms with them. It's been a complicated relationship. It's been a little rocky, but they're back to okay. Then one faction is unfriendly with the contact, getting -1 status to it. And Scurlock is a placeholder. So let's talk through what a good placeholder, or what a good, not placeholder, but permanent one would be. Cersei. Cersei would not sit well with the Silver Nails. Cersei would not sit well with the... who am I thinking of here? Fringe? No. I mean, there's a lot of people she wouldn't sit well with. The Church of the Ecstasy of Flesh, but there's not a lot of overlap between who she might piss off and who everybody else might piss off. So unless she's the one generating a lot of heat, I don't think a lot of these weird factions are going to be taking a close look at her. Not yet, anyway. Eric. Let's see. Yeah, you're from the docks. Bluecoats don't like you. I mean, it could be Bluecoats. That's a really easy one, because the Bluecoats are not going to like these people generally, but Bluecoats are a tier 3, but these fucks have tier 3, tier 5, tier 3 already. Let's just go one by one. Alex, let's make this easy. The Unseen? Criminal enterprise with secret membership? No. They're not important enough for the Unseen to even notice them. Hive, guild of merchants who secretly trade in contraband. Not important enough. Silver Nails? Mercenaries turned to crime, renowned ghost killers. No, haven't done enough ghost shit to piss them off. Skurlock? Ancient noble said to be immortal vampire. I mean, honestly, no. Skurlock is so self-interested, he doesn't notice. The Crows, they're not in Crowsfoot. They don't have a damn thing going on in Crowsfoot. The Crows couldn't care less. The Lamp Blacks. Former Lamplighter Guild turned to crime when their services were replaced by electric lights. Honestly, Wax here is probably sympathetic to the Lamp Blacks, so probably not. Red Sashes, Aruvian School of Swordsmanship. We got a couple of Aruvians, so they might be vaguely sympathetic. Dimmer Sisters, housebound recluses with an occult reputation. I don't think Coquette has done anything to piss them off. And I don't know, I jumped to Coquette being the one to piss them off because, Dimmer Sisters are in the Six Towers. You know, Andy might have, though. Andy could really easily piss off the Dimmer Sisters with this fake ghost hunting bullshit. He could really easily piss a lot of people off with this. So that's an option. But, you know, the Dimmer Sisters, if anything, Cersei's certain proclivities might be interesting to them. I don't think they'd be too bothered by that. The Grinders, former dockers and Leviathan blood refinery workers. No, we don't have any Scotland, actually, so, maybe. But there's not enough times to butt heads. Billhooks, nah. Wraiths, mass thieves and spies. It's so vague. Former Bluecoats turned to crime. The Greycoats are in Six Towers, right? Right. Opens Duskfall notes. Document showing who's headquartered where. See? Greycloaks. Yeah, they're headquartered in Six Towers. They're former Bluecoats. And they're pissed at the Bluecoats. But they're also, like, still want to be cops. So, no, don't start the Binding of Isaac. Not what I wanted to do. Ulf Ironborn, brutal Scotlander, newly arrived in Duskfall, fighting everyone for turf. I mean, that's a safe one, right? But Ulf could be anywhere. I imagine Ulf to be down in Coleridge, not Dunslow, Coleridge or maybe Crowsfoot. So that's not a perfect fit. And also, these are tier 1, and I'd kind of like it to be a bigger boy that they pissed off. Foghounds, they're smugglers, probably not. The Lost. If anything, Wax is friends with the Lost. So no, you didn't piss off the military. Ministry of Preservation? Nah. Leviathan Hunters? Nah. Ironhook Prison? Nah. Sparkrights? Nah. Spirit Wardens? Yeah, the Spirit Wardens were who I was thinking of that might be pissed about the ghost fuckery. I mean, the literal ghost fuckery. Might be pissed. I mean, would be pissed about it. Making enemies of the Spirit Wardens. That's a big one, though. I would rather make the Bluecoats dislike this group than make the Spirit Wardens dislike this group as a starter. Aruvian and Scotland consulates. I don't really care. The Brigade, firefighters. Let's not have firefighters hate these people. Yeah, man, I'm thinking the Bluecoats. I think we'll start out with the Bluecoats not liking them. We already have, who was that, Slip? Yeah, Eric, who the Bluecoats aren't on great terms with. So let's, the city council likes them. The cops don't. The Circle of Flame is okay with them. Yeah, I think that's what we go with. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot more. So I need to come up with some ideas for first score. I'm not doing that tonight. I've talked too much today. I feel my voice my throat starting to hurt a little bit, so I need to shut up. And it's been an hour and a half. Yeah, this has been long enough. But I've written up a PC summary, which one or two of the players asked for. So here we go. This is some very short notes. And I've reviewed everything, made a couple of changes to my end stuff, and yeah, I think we're good to go. It's going to be Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 5 to 9? 5 to 9 p.m., is that right? Central Time, Indiana Time, whatever the fuck. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with this for today. So, I don't think I'm gonna bother... Oh, right. I need to loop these fucking ambience tracks, because I didn't even notice this going off. I don't know if this is going to YouTube. It's probably going to YouTube. Yeah, I think it will. Enjoy the hour and a half of me talking to myself and scheming schemes, but it helps to speak aloud rather than just keep this in my head, because spoken word gets momentum behind it. It helps me process with different parts of my brain. But yeah, until later, what else am I gonna do this week? Tomorrow's New Year, so, Happy New Year. Buckle up. We're in for another one. I don't have any games I'm really dying to play. There's been a couple of requests for more Hoi 4, which... I like, honestly, if anything, I'm pulled towards playing Thief or Dishonored or something that's really in the kind of Victorian wheelhouse, just to marinate my brain in the kind of aesthetics that I need to be describing and inspiring us to collectively come up with. So maybe that, maybe not. I don't know. Until later, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.